The next one is creating containers for your research question. It's very easy. So you see here that I have my research questions here, right? I want to create containers for each of the research questions, right, in MAXQDA. So how do you do that? First, you have to label your research question. So you can see here that for this research question, this is the label, conceptualizing and applying principles of responsible innovation, right? So you have to give labels to them. Why do you have to do that? The labels just remind you about the research question that you have to complete, and also it helps you to organize the codes based on the research question that you have. So let's go here and create our containers for our 3 research questions. How do you do that? You see codes here, you click on the plus sign here, and then I'm going to copy my first research question and put it here, right? And then you see under here, memo, code memo, you copy the whole research question, like the research question, the question itself, you copy that and put it here, just to remind you that this label, which is the container, is representing the research question 1, right? When you are done, you click on, let me make sure that everything is set. And you click on OK. Oh, I didn't show you one thing. Let me go back again. So if you want to go back, you can right click on it and go to properties here, right? And then it will take you back. And here you can always change. I want to, make sure that you can use colors if you want. So maybe I want this color, right? Pink, right? You put it there and then click on save, right? So I go to the plus where I go to codes and I click on a plus there, and then I'm going to bring the second create container for the second research question. So as you can see here, I have my second research question. I'm going to copy the whole research question and put it under code memo. And also I'm going to choose a color. Let me choose blue, right? So I choose the blue color here and then click on OK. So I go again, the plus sign, and I'm going to bring the third research question here. Copy that, paste that, make sure that everything is right. And then I can copy and paste the question itself here and then click on OK. I have to choose a color. So I choose it and click on OK. So now I have my containers for my research question, right? And then the next process is to start a coding process. So think about coding as going through the data line by line, right? And identify information that are significant and then develop labels based on the information that you have identified. A label can be in between 2 to 5 words representing what you have extracted, and then bring that information under or the code under their respective research question, right? So a significant information is any information that can help you to address your research question. So you are going through the data because of your research question. Not all the information participants have given you is relevant, right? That's why you have to go through and extract what you want, what will address the research question, and put it under the research question containers. So I'm going to just show you how to select information that are significant and develop codes just to know how to do it, right? So don't worry so much about the content, but imagine that when you are going through this information is significant, right? Imagine it's significant. Then you decide what label should I use to represent it. So let's assume that the label for this quotation is anticipatory ethics, right? And I think it's addressing the first research question about how they conceptualize and apply the principle of responsible innovation. So you go here, you bring the cursor here and click on the plus sign, and then you type the label, right? It's not required for you to give a description, but it's going to be helpful for you to define what you mean by this, right? So what do you mean by anticipatory ethics, right? And then, so you define what it means, and it's not required for you to define, but if you want, you can define that, and then you click on OK. You can choose a color that you want. If you don't choose any color, it will take the color that you have given to the research question. So you click on OK, and you see that this is the information here. It's an empty container because we haven't put any quotation inside. Now you drag and drop the significant information into this. Now you see that there's one significant information, and then there's an indication here that this place has been coded. So the same thing, this one is also talking about the same issue, right? So you select that, and then we have already created a container that is also connected to the second quotation. So we can just drag and drop it into this container. Then we continue to go through the data. If you see anything that is significant, like equity and inclusion, addressing research question 1. So let's say this information is significant, right? Then you think about what label should I give to this information? So this one is more about collaborative governance, right? And it's addressing the first research question. So you click here, you bring your cursor here, click on the plus sign and type collaborative. Let me bring that. You type collaborative governance, and then you can define what you mean by collaborative governance, and then you click on OK. Then you can drag and drop that information into the codes that you have created. So that's how you're going to do. You go through the process, identify information that is significant, and then drag and drop. So when you go to 22, paragraph 22, they talk about equity and inclusion, right? And this one is also addressing the research question 1. And then what you have to think about is based on the information that the person is talking about, you decide the code that you have to use. It's more about equity and inclusion. So what you have to do is to go here to the research question 1, the plus sign, and then bring that information here and click on OK and drag and drop, right? So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go through all the transcript and do the same thing. When you finish, you can double click on the second transcript and do the same thing, go through. If information is significant, you just create container and drop that information in there, right? So the principle here is that whenever you identify information that is significant, see whether there's any code that you can drop that information into. If there's no code, you create a new code, right? And also you have to think about which research question is that information addressing. So let me show you the final product so that you see what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, I've gone through all the transcripts, right? And I've created codes for addressing research question 1, 2, and 3, right? So you see that research question 1, when you click on this arrow, you have all the codes here. Research question 2, all the codes here. Research question 3, all the codes here. I have been able to arrange everything nicely, and you can see here that there are numbers here. These numbers are the number of quotations that has been connected or put into these containers, right? So you can see here that empowering public participation and representation, you have 4 quotations or 4 significant information. If you want to see the 4 significant information, you can always double click, and then you'll be able to see this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, and this is the fourth one. So you can see all the quotation. You can even code it again, or you can do a visual representation like a word cloud. You just can click on this one, and it will show you the word cloud for all the 4 quotations, right? And you can go to format and then change the colors if you want to change the colors. So, and then you can even export, right? You go to start here and then you can export.